In this video, I'm going to show you how to change a hot tub heater element. First thing we did was turn off the breaker, empty the hot tub. The reason why we empty the hot tub is these knife valves, you might have them, you might not have any, so you have to drain it. But these knife valves fail all the time, so we just keep them open, just drain it. We've already taken the 2 leads off because that's how we tested it. These just happen to break off. If you want to learn how to figure out why your hot tub's tripping, I'll link a video right here. If you've already figured out that's your hot tub element and you haven't taken these off yet, take those off. Since we have a short piece right here, I'm just going to take this off the pump here. Just easier to get the heat tube back in. And then the heat tube gaskets, we're going to replace these. Don't take it off all the way. There's another nut right at the bottom here. So very carefully, just roll it out. Like that. We want to pull it out all the way because we have the sensors connected. Undo the 2 sensors. Now it's very important when you pull these out that everything comes with it. See this little O-ring? Make sure it's on there. A lot of times it gets stuck on here and you can't see. If your O-ring comes off, you can't see there's an O-ring there. So make sure you have that O-ring up out of the way. So that's on the right side. And the left side, same thing. Again, make sure the O-ring's there. Put it over to the left, out of the way. Now this broke off, so we're going to have to take this off too. Make sure you inspect this. Get a little bit of rust in here. A lot of times you'll have little pinholes. You have to replace this whole thing. Same as on this lip right here. All the way around. If you see any type of pinholes, you're going to have to replace it. That's probably where, if you find that it's leaking there anyway. So you clean that off. So next is the element. If you're not sure what element you need, it's right, all information's right here. It's a 5.5 kilowatt. And it's a Balboa and it's offset. When you get your new element, all the new stuff's in it. O-rings, put them on. Now see, these are loose. I usually put some silicone. I have another video where I just put some silicone so when I do this, if I have to move it around, it doesn't fall out. Because you don't want that pinching at all. So that's it like that. Line it up. I'm using my fingers on both sides. I don't want those O-rings pinching at all. So once I get it up, like that, put our new pieces on. New nut. Just snug. There we go. So the trick is, this element, you don't want that element touching the side walls at all. You want it dead center. So I'll show you a trick here. What I do is I put my finger just beside the element on one side, because when I'm tightening it, this element wants to go against the wall. So I put my fingers in here, kind of holding it back from touching the side, kind of pushing it. as I tighten it. And it's just snug. So just, I can feel it. So just snug. Just snug. Okay, and the whole time I can feel it pushing right here. You actually can feel it if it's center or not. So if you do it right, you can feel it before you even look at it. So then, center, other side, dead center, not touching anything. So we have our two new gaskets, heater tube gaskets. So if I put it in, there's a chance that sometimes they just fall out, especially if you're trying to get that thing on there. So what I do is just put a little bit of grease or silicone. I usually put some silicone, but if you have grease, then just use the grease. I'll link everything down below that I use. So the grease I use, you can use this. There's many stuff you can use. You can use the Hayward stuff, but I just put some here. I put on both sides. Just put a little bit of, pretty thick. And then the front, if I get to the front here, I don't want it falling out easy. I don't want it to be dry. So you can take the rest of it, just put in the front of it. So it's a little slippery, so it's easy to put the heat tube. You do the same thing on the other side. This one here, we can probably put some on there. Okay, we got the other one all ready to go. So I'm just gonna put that right there. Before we put it in, make sure your sensors are on. And it's just snug. You just put them in snug. Just remember which one's left, which one's right. Just slide it in there. Straight up and down. You're gonna tighten the two nuts, the one on the top and the bottom. Helps with the ground. That's your ground, so make sure both go back on. Either you can put the two leads on the next step, or you can put the right side pipe back on. And just snug. If you're interested in this tool, I'll link it down below. Just snug. Next, we're going to put the two leads on. We kind of bent it a bit. Make sure it all goes back in there good. This is the tricky part. Get those on there. Two nuts on. Now, right on the bottom, you should be able to get a smaller wrench and hold it. You don't want that twisting at all. If it twists, more likely it's gonna crack, it's gonna trip the breaker again. So you want to hold that bottom so it doesn't twist, and then you tighten. Again, it's just snug. That's it, just snug. Then we can put the end piece on. Sometimes these are tricky. So make sure that the gasket doesn't pinch at all. If you have to, because that pipe, we could have just took these off, the bolts, so we could have moved it that way more if you have a problem. Don't be afraid to start taking stuff apart, like especially here, because it's in place, same as that pump. So it was pretty tight in there. So normally we'd probably take this off, and then so we can move it, give us a little bit more room. Always put it back and then screw it back down. And that's it. That's how you change an element in a hot tub.